Hi, I'm Troy Smith, and we are here today at Foxleaf Books in Cookeville, where they have graciously allowed us this venue to talk to local authors. And I have a local author with me today, Koko Nervelli. Hello, Koko.
Hello, nice to meet you.
I would like to begin by asking you, Koko, how did you come to be well, I won't ask you how you came to be local, but how did you come to be an author?
Well, I had never really been a reader, which, a lot of people assume that if you're a writer that you read a lot when you were younger. I didn't. It wasn't until I retired, took an early retirement, moved to Tennessee, and I had these notes and these ideas, but I'd never really done anything with them. They were sort of in a drawer, part of my bucket list, things to do before I die. Again, you have to read my first book to get that joke. I had the time to stop and to think and to ponder. So my whole idea was to write a book about the places where I lived and the life lessons I had learned along the way. And I did that. And my first book, I made some rookie errors. And I had stopped, revamped, and did it again. So I came out with this right here, and this is Suspended. And Suspended is exactly that. When we moved up here, a girl asked me, well, how many places have y'all lived? Well, that was it. That's what finally broke that writer's block. And I said, that's it. I can tell about the places I've lived. So this goes from house to house and tells the story of the characters in the house and the lessons that I've learned from it. The thing is, though, I learned more about myself than I planned on learning. I sort of, as I headed on the stroll down memory lane, I tripped on some branches of my twisted family tree and fell flat on my face. But the beauty of it is, by that time I already had readers, and that was the best thing of all, is that my readers actually helped me to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
As I learned my truth, I came out with The Lie. I think that sort of speaks for itself, that I had been lied to my entire life. It was quite a shock. Well, again, my readers helped me work through that, and I ended up with Truth Beyond the Lie. Truth Beyond the Lie is my way of coming to grips with what happened to me. And it's all three of them can be read individually, but it's really best to read them in that order to follow along with the journey. Once I found peace, I was able to become a real author. These are my story,
Mm-hmm.
but these are my imagination.
Right, so you went after that in a completely different direction.
I really did. In fact, you, sir, are one of the ones that inspired me. You know what he did? He told me to write fiction. And I said, I don't do fiction. And he said, I think you have more of an imagination than you think you do. I had more of an imagination than I thought I did. I started with Beans and Greens.
Mm-hmm.
And Beans and Greens is short fictional stories, but they are all about Southern foods and traditions. A lot of people call me, they'd say I have Southern charm and a quirky sense of humor.
Or a quirky charm and a Southern sense of humor.
There you go. It works as well. The only bad thing is if you're a writer of Southern language, spell check really doesn't like that. They don't understand the y'alls and the youans.
Yeah, we need to have a Southern spell check.
We do. But anyway, Beans and Greens has been my most popular book to date, and I think the biggest surprise that I have found is that it is worldwide popular. I have had more sales in the UK than I have had anywhere else. All of my books have sold in 10 foreign countries.
That's because we're so fascinating around here.
It blows my mind. It's humbling. It's very humbling. And that, I think, was my start of just short fictional stories. I interviewed actual people, but what I do is I worked with hospice for a while. And when I worked with hospice, they taught me to listen to what people do not say.
Mm-hmm.
And so I listen with my heart and not my ears. And all of my books seem to be written about normal people who have abnormal things happen and they overcome obstacles. So no matter what genre.
So if someone said to you, what kind of books do you write?
Exactly.
That's what you would say.
That would be what I would say. Because I love to dabble in the different genres. I started into writing some paranormal, just, for the fun of it. But my paranormal books, I like to refer them as pert near squeaky clean for the squeamish reader. And that's because I'm not fond of I don't like to read too many details of people's personal relationships, and I'm not comfortable with reading gory things.
So if my horror stories freak you out, then you should read this.
I did read his book and it was wonderful. I just sort of overlooked the gore. But it's about war. I mean, war is war, right? But yes, I choose to write things that I will get on the edge and let the reader's imagination go from there. They can take it as detailed as they wish or not. But this one I'm very proud of because it made number 6 on Amazon, and I thank everybody for that. That one is about Madame Melancholy Marie, and she is a psychic that is driven out of New Orleans by Hurricane Katrina and moves to the coast of North Carolina, and then you start the story where you meet her friends and it leads here, there, and everywhere.
Is this part of a series or is this a standalone?
Yes, it is. In fact, everybody seemed to really enjoy Madame Melancholy Marie, so I followed her story with Mystic Birth. And of course, it starts with her having a baby and gets into her personal life, but then it introduces more friends as well. But there's always a twist. There's always something that, again, even though some people wouldn't consider her a normal person because of her profession being a psychic, I feel she's as normal as anyone.
And she should expect that because she's a psychic.
Exactly. She knows I know. And then the last paranormal book that I wrote was Guilt of the Undead. I'm extremely proud of this one. This one has a message as well as the story of still the familiar characters from the other books.
Is that the one you were telling me about earlier, or is that a different project?
No, that one is my newest book, which it's just being released. I'll tell you about that in a second.
Right.
This one, it's a girl has had a drunk driving accident, and she's living with the guilt. And I call her Mel after a while. Mel and her friends help her overcome her guilt. And it's a story of redemption, of forgiveness. And to me, that's extremely important. But also with the little paranormal twist in there.
Of course.
My latest book, which, like I said, I don't have yet, is called Laid to Rest. And it is the story of a funeral director who moves to North Carolina, and he has a funeral for a little girl, and it bothers him. There's just something about it that eats at him inside. He feels like she had some unfinished business, that she maybe have had a message, and he feels that it's his duty to look into this and find out what is her message, what is she trying to tell everybody. And he has a close friendship with the local pastor, and the two of them don't see eye to eye on dogma, but they form a wonderful friendship. And that story is a story about not being judgmental. I think that theme sort of runs through my books as well. I do not judge others, and I don't judge my characters, and they don't judge others either.
Well, that sounds like such a compelling idea for a story. I'm looking
Thank you.
forward to reading that one.
Thank you.
If I were to ask you, who are some of the writers that you feel have influenced you, what might you say?
It's funny, the writers that influenced me really are not in any of the genres that I write. I like the self-help books, the self-improvement books, The Seat of the Soul, Gary Zukav, and I read and reread and reread the Four Agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz.
Miguel Ruiz.
Okay, I only speak 2 languages, English and fluent Southern, so sorry about the Spanish. But
I BS my way through several.
Well, you did fine. You did better than I could do. So, yeah, but that, and I have another Native American author named Brooke Medicine Eagle, and I love her book as well. And I just kind of go back to those every time I need inspiration. I need to, just get myself going. I love reading books from the local authors and other independent authors. I'm friends on Facebook with a lot of them, and if you're watching, hi. I appreciate every one of them, and we learn from each other, and I think that's what it's all about, is giving out that helping hand, to pull someone
Absolutely.
and help them up.
And that person had someone do that for them.
Absolutely.
What advice do you have for someone who maybe has thought about writing and thinks that they have? Everyone says, I have a book in me somewhere.
Right.
What advice would you have for someone who said that to you? Other than write it yourself, leave me alone.
I really truly feel that everybody does have a story, and you have to write what's in your heart. And whether it's, just get rid of the self-doubt would be my biggest advice. And don't sit down thinking, oh, I'm going to have to write the great American novel. I'm going to be tied up for years. Just write. Just start every day. Keep a diary. Start with that. Keep a journal. And you'd be amazed how you can go back over the years. And some of my characters are entries out of my journals. And that's what I would say, is to just have the confidence to just write it down. Even if you just read it to your dog, which my dogs are so sick of this last story that I just wrote, because I do that to find my grammatical errors. I read it over and over, and they said, Mom, please write a new story. So that would be my advice, was just write it down, do it. And the world of self-publishing has made it so easy. I personally go through createspace.com. And they're tied into Amazon, which is tied into Kindle, and so you're sort of in the big family right off the bat. And you don't have to make it go public. That's the beauty of it. You can write your book and print just a copy for yourself, and to hold your first book in your hand. The feeling is,
feeling of accomplishment.
It's almost like holding your first child or your first grandchild. It's just, the feeling is just amazing. You thought. And sometimes I actually finish a book and I'll read it and I'll think, wow, that's really good. Who wrote that? And to think, I wrote that? It's really exciting.
I understand. I have the same phenomenon.
Do you?
Well, thank you very much for being here with us today, Koko.
Thank you.
And thanks to the folks at Foxleaf Books at 24 West Broad in Cookeville. Stop by. They have a really nice selection. They have some great Civil War books. Now, no one but me seems to be excited about this, but this is a great collection. You should come check it out.
Nothing
Anyhow,
like plugging yourself here.
oh, I wasn't even thinking about me being in it. I was thinking about all the history books. Thank you very much.
Thank you.